are you, everybody?
Hi, everyone.
Chrissy,
We're
welcome.
so happy to be here today.
I know we're back. We're back.
We're back.
After a little break, after a little pause. Back at it and so excited. So I see you have a new office background there. I love it.
Yes, we are in an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location, yes. And I am back in Connecticut after being away for the summer and back to my home office. So everything is back. So I'm so happy everybody is here and tuning into Wisdom Wednesday. We were just talking about this backstage before the show. Why do I come up with these tricky things to say that are like Peter picked a pepper, whatever. Wisdom Wednesday. I don't know. That flows better, I guess, than some. But
let's try and save it five times in a row.
Exactly. But I'm really excited about this because it's going to be a similar format to what we've done before on Wednesdays. Interactive, engaging, and the best part of it is the wisdom part. And that's really the mission behind everything I do, is sharing wisdom and insight and adding value to your life and inspiring you to take action in whatever way that is for you and how that looks like for you as you navigate this journey. So I'm really excited about it. We've got, we're going to be live every Wednesday. There's going to be guests, and we'll put a link in later. You can reach out on my website and reach out to me if you're excited about maybe a story you want to share. You have a challenge you've overcome, something about you that's special and unique. You can go ahead and send me an email on my contact me page, and we'll go through the process of seeing if you can be a guest on the show. It's really a fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. And also we are live, so make sure you share your comments and questions with us.
Yeah, and put in there where you're watching from. And one other thing, because this is new for Wisdom Wednesday, share this page with your friends, your network, tag a friend in the comments. I think then they'll be able to join in on the fun as well. And so if you follow this page, this is where it'll be every Wednesday, which is really a lot of fun. I love this whole live stream thing. It's really the world we are in now.
Absolutely. And any questions that you have today for Amy, you'll be able to see them come up right on the screen with your profile. So we certainly want to engage with you, even though we cannot do it in person. We can do it virtually in person, sort of, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. And we have a fabulous guest today. I'm so excited because I met Angie and spoke with Angie on my podcast. I think it dropped about 5 or 6 weeks ago. She is just phenomenal. You're going to love her. You're going to meet her in person. Thank you so much to those that sent questions in before, that knew she was going to be on, that know of Angie or have questions for Angie. You've probably seen her on the Today Show, and I think we're just going to open up with just a little bit of a video where she's talking with Hoda. So here's a little glimpse into Angie before you meet her live.
Angie says making a blueprint of your mind and thinking of it as a house is the best way to organize your thoughts. The most important room, the mission room. It's where you want to spend most of your energy. That's your to-do list, your plans, your dreams, the things you can actually accomplish.
Right now. What can we do today, right now?
Those things you can't control, leave those to a fate or higher power by putting them in the God room. So what kind of things go in the God room?
Worries, uncertainties, things that are facts, that are issues.
And then there's the trash for second guessing and assumptions.
So as the mind brings that to you and says, oh, they should have done this and this and this, you say, you know what? Thank you for that. Now throw it away.
It's out.
It's done. It's over. Now go straight back to the mission room and get to work.
Angie, I'm so happy that you're here.
Hello, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Amy.
This is so fabulous to see you face to face right there in Birmingham.
Here I am.
Oh, I know. And Chrissy is behind the scenes, and she's going to be taking questions from anybody that has a question for you during or a comment as we navigate this. And people are watching it live, and then there'll be a replay. So I'll make sure that we get all those. If people are watching it later, I'll get those questions to you. But welcome. And I'm just so pleased you're here. I have to tell you, after the podcast, I mean, you just, that podcast to me, I had so many goosebump moments. And after it dropped, I had so many people reach out and just say, that's incredible. And the way you talk about the mind and kind of just allow us to navigate that through, your strategies is just amazing to me. So if you wouldn't mind, just start by just giving us a little introduction to you and why this whole mind thing gets you so excited.
It's processing. I love to process. I love to look at a problem. I have a problem solving mind, but I can also have a problem making mind. I like to put things in categories. I like to organize things. I like to pull things apart and say, why? Why do we do this? Why do we do this to ourselves? Why do we do this to other people? I love the whole just looking at everything very deeply. And then the second part of that is to come up with processes that help people. Maybe you don't have a mind that thinks the same way that mine does. But if I can use my talent and then put things in a very simple, take this step, now take this step, now take this step, and you're there. If I can do that, that makes me very happy.
Isn't that funny? Yeah. And you realize that about yourself. Yeah. Is everybody's mind different?
Yes, we have a lot of similarities in our minds, but we also have a lot of differences. And even I do health type coaching as well. And you can look at a person's body shape and tell so much about the kind of mind that they have.
Really?
They can have, yes. They can have, I have 3 categories I'm going to tell you about them real quick.
Oh, okay.
So you have a never satisfied mind. It's never enough, no matter how much you do, how much you know, how much money you make, how big your car is. It's never enough. It's never enough. And there's always one more thing. And you can never actually just relax and just enjoy it. Your mind is always pushing. And then you have the one that sits next to that is the problem making mind. It's just looking constantly. Well, and let me tell you about this, and that's a problem because of this, and that's a problem, and that's a problem, and it just zeroes in on problems all day long. And if you'll notice, you can see it about yourself. You're like, oh, wow, it's just pointing out problems all day. And then you have the trust issue mind. And that's pretty self-explanatory. Yeah. It wants to control everything because it just doesn't trust. It's a very black and white thinker. There's right and there's wrong, and there's my way and there's the right way, and my way is the right way. So that's that kind of mind. And you can look at the body shape, and I can basically tell you what kind of category you're going to fall in. So yeah.
Really? Oh, I don't know if I want to ask. That's so funny. That's really interesting. Can you shift? Can you be like, say, I don't know, can you shift from one to the other? I mean, is that part of the coaching? No, you are that. It's kind of a mindset. I mean, you can't change that.
Well, it's a tendency. So it's actually a genetic tendency of your mind to go kind of in that direction. However, if you know that about yourself, you know that's your tendency to normally do that, you can retrain your mind to not do that, to relax about certain things, to increase its flexibility, to help it not to point out all the problems. You can help manage it. It's like knowing what kind of breed dog you have. Yeah. Like, you got a Chihuahua, okay? It's going to get upset when the doorbell rings. Yes. There's things you can do, like you can take the doorbell out. You can put a sign on the door and say, please don't ring the doorbell. Just, so there's, if you know the type of mind or the breed of dog that you have, you can make those arrangements to work with that so that you're not in a constant state of stress and upset.
Yes. So let's talk about a couple strategies, if you don't mind. I know you do this in your coaching sessions, but if you're a person, which we're going to have the link, actually, we can go ahead and put that link up for contacting Angie and getting in touch with her. She leads great programs. As a matter of fact, I'm a part of one. I need to get going on it now because I signed up for it. And you can kind of navigate it at your own pace. But if you're a mind that is always kind of an overachiever, that type of thing, you have that mindset, are there strategies that you can put in place that can calm some of that?
Well, some of it is just knowing that that's who you are and making allowances for that, and don't make it something wrong about you. A lot of times we tend to turn on ourselves and say, oh, I'm so this and I'm so that. And we make it into a problem when it's not actually a problem. It's actually a beautiful thing about you.
Right.
You're probably, you have that type of mind because you're here on this planet to, maybe you need to push. You need to be constantly pushing and going. And you're actually happiest when you are in that mode.
Right.
However, if other people around you are saying something's wrong with you, you need to get on some kind of medication to calm your energy down, or you're too much, or you're too intense. Yeah. If you've got that kind of feedback coming to you from other minds who are more laid back and more easygoing, now you think something's wrong with you. Now you're sitting in the psychiatrist's office saying, I don't know why I'm like this. It's like you're like this because you were born, like you were genetically made, just like you were born to be 6 foot tall. You were born to, get in your mission room and really do some amazing things for the world. And there's nothing wrong with you.
Interesting. Well, I love that, because there always are strategies and things that you can use, and helpful hints. I think around, we talked about on the podcast, these different rooms, and I'm such a visual person that I go back to that all the time. And it was funny. I was sitting with my sister a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this particular episode and talking about our minds and kind of closing our eyes and visualizing which room and how we move through those rooms. So can you talk a little bit about the rooms in your mind and how that all fits together?
Yeah. So basically that was made to prevent overwhelm. So, when you're in the middle of some emotional issue or some situation in your life, it's really hard to see what's going on, why you're feeling what you're feeling, or how to get out of it. Like you're like in muddy water. You can't see how to get out of such a situation. So I had the floor plan in the house for you to be able to say, okay, I'm in the middle of this and I cannot see clearly. So this is to help to reduce the overwhelm and help with the clarity. So you get in there and you say, where am I in this house? And so if you know the rooms, and let's walk through the house together, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay. So we come in and we have the people room. We have the God room. We have the past room, which is in the basement. We have the future room, which is up in the attic. And we have a mission room and a trash room. So basically the rooms on the basic level of your house are the people room. And that's where you have your relationship issues, and you think this person's thinking this about you and they're thinking that, and all those type of dramas, those stories that your mind makes up about what other people are saying and doing and thinking and feeling. And none of it's true. Most of it's not even true.
We're wasting so much time on it, but of course that's a room. It has its own room.
The people room.
Probably with an addition sometimes. Yeah.
And then we get into, future thinking, like we're in the future room in the attic, and that creates a lot of anxiety because there's a lot of unknowns. There's nothing known in the future room. It hasn't happened. And most of the things we think are going to happen never even happen. So we're all worked up. And so if you're having anxiety, you can realize, oh, I'm in the future room. The course that I have will give you hints to say, if you're feeling this, you're probably hanging out in this room, and here is what you do. And then you've got those late nights, 3 a.m., where you're just being tormented with everything you've done in the past, like every single bad word you've ever said to anyone or anything that's ever happened is playing in your mind at 3 a.m. So you're in the basement, you're in the past room when that's happening. And that can create just overwhelm, regret, guilt, shame. Like it just takes you down to some really dark places that are not that easy to turn back around to get out of if you don't know where you are. So it's basically a map to say, well, you are here. Okay, you're here, and here's your directions and your instructions to get out of here, because we don't want to live our life in this mental plane of existence. We want to be able to live outside in the sunshine, in presence, and enjoy what we're seeing in front of us instead of sucked into our mental space, living we can't even pay attention to people talking to us. Our kids try to tell us things, share things with us. This is the good stuff here in front of us. But our mind has us held so hostage inside that all we're hearing is what it's saying.
The same thing. Wow. And the mission room. The mission room is the work that you have to do, right?
Yes. I have courses in well, I won't say every room yet, but I'm working on it. So I have a course inside the mission room that the mission room is for when, you've got your mind tidy, okay? You've worked with it in the basement and you said, you know what, we really need to let go of this now, okay? We need to stop coming down here and beating ourselves up about this. And you've gotten a lot of your relationships are starting to become tidy. You're learning about who's in your people room and what they need and what kind of mind they have and how you two interact together. And you're learning. And then it's time to put your mind to use for what it was meant to be used for. It's a very powerful energy.
Power of the mind.
But it needs to be harnessed. So tidying your mind helps it kind of puts it in submission, okay? You're supposed to be the one saying, now, let's do this together and this together. And your mind loves to have a job. It's like a kid, it's like give a kid a job and they're like, yes, I'm helping, I'm doing something. Right. And so you give it a job in the mission room and you say, this is what we're going to create. And it loves it, and it stops doing a lot of the neurotic things that it does if it's just left to run around the house on its own. So, yeah,
exactly. Well, I think everybody is so anxious right now. Don't you feel like a lot of your clients much more anxious because, like you said, I think we spend too much time in the attic in our futures, trying to figure this out. My mantra this year that I shared recently was just, I'm trying to take it, and this is a work for me, one sunrise at a time.
I like
Instead of, thank you, because I just thought, if I look too far ahead, it makes me anxious. And, it's a tough time. Are you finding that? And what would be some strategies around kind of calming that anxiousness and getting out of the attic a little bit?
Yeah, get out of the attic. That's a good
get out of the attic, yes.
Yes, fear is out there, and it's a lot of, your mind is listening. It's listening to what you're saying to it, and you are the caretaker of your mind. And if you're setting your mind, it's just like if you set a child down in front of you and told it scary story after scary story after scary story about all these unknowns and things that could happen and might happen. And, if you fill it full of fear, you're going to have a child who is scared to death of everything. So you're doing the same thing to your mind, and that's what we feel as anxiety. It's extra energy that is building in our body that we don't know what to do with because our mind is in panic mode. It's like in fight or flight. I've been listening to all the things on the TV and everything everybody's saying. Nobody knows. Y'all know that by now, right? Like nobody actually knows.
I've turned it off. You just can't. Yeah, there's too much. It's too much to handle. Too much for your mind to process, right?
And that's good mind care. Like that is good mind care to say, that's enough. Let's turn the TV off now. Right. Let's go get in our mission room. What's something fun and enjoyable and bright and light? And what makes you feel good, mind? Like when we look at this and we talk about this, does that feel good to you? If it doesn't, move away from it. That's a good emotional warning sign to say that's not good for your mind. You're right. Yeah, we got to be good to ourselves during this time and during all times. But
really, yeah, it's like self-care for your mind. It really is. It's being the caretaker. It's incredible. And you hear about that, the power of the mind. It is such a powerful thing. And I think as women, we're always telling others, our kids, power of the mind, think positive, and, all of that type of thing. And then it's hard for us to actually practice that ourselves. I think we kind of put it on the back burner. I just wanted to remind everybody that I'm with Angie Johnsey today for our first kickoff of Wisdom Wednesday. She's just a phenomenal person who just can translate navigating the mind in such an eloquent way that I just love having her here. If there's any questions, I've gotten a few questions myself, and I know that Chrissy can post some as well, but I have one question here for you, if you wouldn't mind answering.
All right.
This one says, let me see. Any hints on quieting our minds for sleep? I'm having sleep difficulties, and this is from Jane in Las Vegas.
Okay. Well, hello, Jane. Yes, it is. It's not a really simple answer, but it's about what you're doing all day. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if you're allowing your mind to just run from room to room to room to room to room, and it's getting worked up. Okay. So As you're going through the day, the momentum, it's racing, it's building, it's building, it's building. And by the time you lay down to go to bed, it is so wound up and it is so exhausted and so tired. And so it's like it's trying to stop a freight train at that point. It's really hard. So if you're laying there and this is happening, get up. Don't lay there and torture yourself. Get up, give your mind something calming or ask it what it wants right now. What do you want? Do you want to watch a movie? Would you like to read a book? Would you like to take a bath? And your mind say, oh, I can't. Oh, it's 2 a.m. I can't be getting in the bath. Yes, you can.
Sure,
of course you can.
Yes, you can. Yes.
I can't go for a walk outside. Of course you can.
You're the boss of you. Yes.
You can go ask it what it wants. What do you want? There are no rules. Wow. Ask it what it wants to do. You want to go for a drive? Let's go for a drive. And allow it to naturally start to wind down on its own by caring for it. If you force it to lay there in that state of a freight train, in motion, you're tormenting yourself. And you'll eventually fall asleep, but it's not going to be a very restful or enjoyable night. But by doing that, you're showing your mind. This is about when you're tidying your mind, caring for your mind, you're creating trust. You're creating trust with this thing that gets all wound up. So when it sees that you actually turned to it and said, what do you need? What do you need? What would make you feel better right now? It's like, you're asking me? Like, really? And then you start to give it what it needs, more and more and more, and talking to it in a really calm, I love you, just taking care of it. That is self-love, by the way. You start doing that. That's what makes it calm down and relax. And you'll find that those nights of laying there, that's done. But it will it's a process. It's not like you can just do that one time. Trust is built over time and consistency. So it gets to know that you're going to care for it and ask it these questions. It'll start to relax more and more and more, and it will stop racing around your house.
Wow. Yeah, I can just picture it racing around. Yeah. Incredible. Great question. I like that. This is a question. Actually, this question is from a woman in Texas who is a big fan of yours. So,
hello,
Laura. And she just said that she saw your segment with Valerie Bertinelli.
Yes.
And she has similar food issues and bad habits around food. Do you have any strategies around helping her with that? And she just, once again, said she loves you.
Thank you. I love you too. I love that you're here, and I love you asked that question. Yes, the emotional eating is I talk about this a lot, and I wrote the whole Tidy Mind course based off of what we did with Valerie. So if you want to take a look at that, that would be a good thing for you to go through. It's a 30-day course. We can put the link up here, maybe somewhere. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing? Yes.
There you go.
I encourage you. Everybody try that with me. Yeah, that would be a 30-day. Okay. Awesome.
But you're being the caretaker of your mind, but you're using food to cope with it. And it could be, now I don't know your situation, so it could be that, or your mind could be bored. It may not be an actual issue like of pain that you're trying to help it calm down about. It could be just not being stimulated enough. You may have a mind that needs way more stimulation than you're getting. You may not be fulfilled in your life and in your daily activities and what you're doing. So you have to look at those factors first to see, well, what is my mind not getting that it needs, that it's using food? I'm helping it kind of feel better with this food. Once your mind starts to feel fulfilled and satisfied and calm and relaxed, you'll find that food becomes just food. Food is not the answer and the solution anymore, or the go-to thing when I'm bored, or I don't know what to do about this, or I need comfort, or I need a hug, or that stops, because now you're expanding who you are, and you're using more tools than just food. So
Wow. Great question. I love that answer, because I think I fall into that at times too, of that emotionally. And that was part of Valerie's journey, wasn't it? Around food. Yes. A lot about that. Yeah. That's terrific. Thank you. I have a question here from Anne in Michigan. How can I help myself from constantly being critical of myself and what I do?
Okay. So this is something that you need to kind of explore. If you look at my courses, you can go in the basement and you need to go into the basement and look in your past room at now this tendency, this critical mind, that falls in the never satisfied, never enough kind of category.
Right.
You could have had a critical parent. Either you had this mind yourself, or you were raised by someone that kind of pointed out all the things that you never did right, like never really praised you for all the good things that you did, kind of just picked you apart. And you take on, now you need to play that role for yourself because your parents aren't around to do that anymore. So you'll replace that voice. So you've got that voice in your head picking you apart. So first, just acknowledge it. And I would encourage you to kind of just dig a little and see where that came from. Is this just, a natural tendency of your mind? Or is this something maybe that you experienced as a child, or it could be both? Okay. And then to just say, all right, I'm being very, and it's the caretaker part of you, the parent part, that's being very critical to the mind or the inner child part. Okay. So you have to relearn and retrain yourself to speak to it in a calm, loving, nurturing way. Mistakes are okay. I did a whole course on confidence, and that's a lot about what this is.
Right.
It's about confidence. So a critical mind can tear down your confidence so bad, and you won't be able to interact with the world or with yourself, and you feel bad about yourself all the time. So it's called Trust Me. Trust Me would be a good one for you. It will help you explore where this came from. So yeah.
Thank you, Angie. And thanks, Anne, for that question. Really great questions, because I'm sure those resonate with so many women. And we're going to have you back because there's so many more things we can talk about. But tell me how you're doing you've got a similar ages to mine, I think, maybe a little bit younger, but a 22-year-old that's grown and flown, and then an 18-year-old who just graduated, and then you've got one that's in school.
Yeah.
How are you doing with all this? You just don't. Are you able to calm your mind and not be anxious about it? You kind of practice what you preach, I guess.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. I think it's just I think it's a process. And once you start doing it for yourself, you kind of land in this new space of being and a new way of being. And you don't really visit those. Now, I'm not saying it's all sunshine and roses, but you have coping skills that you didn't have before. And those are valuable. Let me tell you, when you learn like appropriate coping skills, we all have coping skills. They're all not so great.
Right. Yeah.
And they're all not very mature sometimes, but yeah. So coping skills, I've got some, and I'm dealing with it. Yeah. It's all fine. Yeah.
And it's all
Thank
fun.
you for asking.
Do you talk to your kids about this too? Because I think there's so much value in talking about the tidy mind for the kids.
Yes.
Because they're anxious right now. And they get that cue from you. Don't you think? Does that really kind of translate?
Yes, your energy, a lot of it is energetic. I don't know how much you guys believe in the energy of things, but, you sense it in people. If they're a calm presence, if they feel like they're safe, they're not worried about much, the kids pick up on that, and then they relax. Animals pick up on it. I don't know if you've ever watched Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer.
Oh, sure.
He talks about that too. It's like the animal takes on the energy or the neurosis of who they're around. And so anyway, I do talk to my kids about this stuff, and we have some really good, deep conversations about a lot of it. And they know more than I do. I know
from them. Our kids are amazing. I'll tell you, they've gotten me through a lot of this uncertainty and stuff. And just like, Mom, what can you do about it? You can't control it. So I have to get out of the attic. That's what I say. I got to get out of the attic.
Or the basement. I think I spent most of my time in the basement. Yeah. Regretting everything. Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, this has just been great. And I know that other people will be submitting questions. And once again, if you're not able to watch it live, of course, this is always on replay. We have Angie with us, and I'm hoping you'll come back on again, because I just love the conversation.
Yes. I can talk all day.
Different things we can talk about. And I even have more questions we haven't gotten to yet. But I think the real beauty is that we are able to train our minds and realize that, isn't it? Oh, Chrissy's back with us now. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. And I need to like take this course because I feel like I'm in so many different rooms.
Yeah, I know. And maybe what we could do as a group, especially because this whole objective of Wisdom Wednesday is to introduce you to people that have this expertise and this insight and share that with others. So maybe if you're interested in taking this course, you can send me an email, or maybe Angie and I will work something out that there's some sort of a code or something that you can use. And then in 30 days, we can circle back and have a few on and kind of talk about it, because I think there's so much value in sharing that and making that connection, because that's how we learn. So I just think it's amazing. So I thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thank you, Chrissy.
Yeah, isn't she great? Yeah, both you women are great. Before I close out today, I think I'm just going to remind everybody that, my book, Cannonball, Fearlessly Facing Midlife and Beyond, is out. It's been great. I've been able to navigate about half a dozen so far, and I've got many more coming up book clubs. Of course, we're meeting virtually, so you can just see me like this with my goofy headphones, because it helps me concentrate. And we talk about the book, and we talk about kind of why I wrote the book. But more importantly, we talk about you and how you've been able to kind of self-reflect and be inspired to do something differently, change course, try something new, challenge yourself differently. So I encourage you to check that out. And then every week, my podcast is now dropping on Thursdays. It's the Fearlessly Facing 50 podcast. And you can just find it on Apple. You can find it anywhere, or just Google it. And I encourage you to check it out and subscribe to it. You'll get it every week. I've had guests on like Angie. I have celebrities on. I have real women that share inspiring stories. And it's just been amazing. I'm coming up on my year anniversary, which is hard to believe. We've got some special things planned for that. And just really great stuff. And I feel so encouraged. And just after having Angie on today and seeing Chrissy again, who I haven't seen for, 3 or 4 weeks, you just thrive on making connections. And I think at a time right now when there is so much uncertainty, this is what we need to do. Keep these, this communication going and learn from each other, because there's so much value.
Yes, and all the links are posted in the comments as well. So very easy access. You saw them here. Just go to the links and click on them, and it'll take them right to the location that you want to go to.
Awesome. And tell people about Fearlessly Facing 50, the page here. This is where Wisdom Wednesday will be every Wednesday. We'll be back with incredible guests. So thanks, Angie.
Thank you.
Good to see you. And we'll be back in touch.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Bye, Chrissy.
Bye.